I'm going to start.
Good afternoon, good morning, everybody. We will begin our Reactor Release webinar here in about a minute. We just want to make sure everybody can join and get audio figured out before we kick things off. But thank you for joining. Hello, and thank you for joining. We are just about to begin our Reactor Release webinar. We'll begin in another 30 seconds. We just want to give all of our attendees plenty of time to configure audio. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Reactor Release webinar. We're going to kick things off. It looks like we have most of the attendees that we're expecting today. As people continue to trickle in, we will admit people, of course, but we will start to kick some things off today. First and foremost, my name is Gary Stom. I'm our Director of Solutions Engineering, and on behalf of Jasmin Sanchez, she is our Senior Product Manager, recently promoted. Congratulations. And we have a very exciting agenda for today. But first and foremost, we want to thank you. So thank you for being our customers. Thank you for being our partners. Thank you for carving out this time out of your busy days, especially before the holidays start to kick off. But we just want to thank you and show our appreciation. In terms of an agenda, in our Reactor Release, we've got a couple of new exciting features that we'll cover today. The first is our table section. This is a great feature where you'll be able to see a lot of data points in a short amount of space inside of your forms. We'll walk through that in just a moment. We also have support for new linked section objects, which Jasmin will touch on. And then there's also some additional features that we'll sprinkle in. I'll transition to a demo, and I'll show you a little bit of those features that she'll touch on. And then we'll go back to Q&A. At any point, if you do have any questions, please post them in the Q&A of the webinar. And a quick shout out to Max Shepard. Thank you for assisting us with any of those questions that come in. Jasmin, if you will, can you take it away?
Yeah, thank you, Gary. So yes, table sections has been one of our top 5 most highly requested features. Our team worked exceptionally hard to push out a beta version of table sections in the Reactor 1 release. But the hard work hasn't ended just yet, but we can go over some of the key benefits of the feature and what all it entails. So essentially what the table sections helps you accomplish is elevating the way your teams collect, display, and interact with data. There's no longer a need to hop from page to page, analyzing the different fields to sort and review information while the user may be completing their form. So again, some key benefits here is saving a ton of time while providing and comparing data. Again, like I mentioned, you don't have to hop around the form. You'll have all that data in groups of related data in a line that's easier on the eyes when you're analyzing the form and trying to do some data comparison. The great thing here is that this feature is available across all device types. So whether you're completing your form on a larger device like an iPad or a smaller handheld phone, you'll be able to view that table and input information. But this is where the customization of the table is very important. So if you're expecting majority of your users to be on larger devices like an iPad, there is no problem with having multiple rows or columns. But again, if your users are on a smaller device, the table design might be a little different. So there just needs to be a little bit more thought put behind the design of it. But again, table sections is very customizable and it can support any design needs. And then On the note of a time saving, there is no longer a dependency on CSS. So building a table is seamless. You're able to re-edit the table whenever you need in Template Builder. And again, it's a pretty easy feature to customize as you go and as your data needs expand. The last thing to mention here is that not only is the template building experience enhanced, but so is the form user experience. The mobile user specifically will be able to see different patterns and distinctions between the data sets within the table. There may be a sense of intuitive decision-making because of this. Gary will spend some time running through a few demos in a couple of minutes, but we can go over the next new offering in Reactor. We are now giving users the opportunity to collect and gather more data in the field for the objects listed on the screen. So that is opportunity line items, products consumed, and product requested, or product request. The links section experience itself hasn't changed with this specific enhancement, but we're just extending the support of the objects. So this was a request, and we got some feedback over the last few months from customers, and we didn't want to limit the amount of information that was being collected. And again, link sections makes the data collection a bit more seamless, like table sections does. So this last release, we were all about data collection. And I will pass it back to Gary.
Beautiful. Very well done, Jasmine. I really appreciate the 2 highlights there. I'm going to open up my mobile device and we'll give you a quick demonstration here in a second, but I do want to just sprinkle in some additional benefit. When it comes to these table sections, customers out of the box, when you looked at the old template builder, you could only see the data in 2 different columns. You could have 1 column out of the box, or you can make it 2 columns out of the box. But oftentimes they're trying to recreate forms where they have a ton of different data points and they want 10 different columns inside of a report in their form. And so we'd have to write some CSS to make that magic happen. And so I just really want to emphasize that this is all a code-free solution now. No code whatsoever, no CSS added to your form template to be able to create those additional columns. And we'll show you what that looks like in just a second. And then the other item, the new objects that have been included, line items, for instance, it's a really unique animal inside of Salesforce, and they call it a non-reparentable relationship. So if you create an line item, you can't attach it to another object. And so that wasn't supported technically inside of Youreka, and we had to do some workarounds in the past. But now I'm super excited to show you that everything is supported inside of the app natively. So for today, I've got 3 different demos queued up. I want to start from our asset inspection. So a lot of you have assets and products out in the field, and I want to just walk through an example of what that might look like. Now, I've put together a 3-page solution for this asset inspection. You're going to see a lot of high-level information flowing directly in from Salesforce, so I don't have to rekey any of that information. We can assess any sort of risk that's associated there to make sure the team is safe as we go through the inspection. And then I jump to the 2nd page. Now, beyond that text to provide the context for the work that needs to be done, you can also leverage files that are flowing in. So it could be a picture from a previous inspection to let us know exactly what we need to focus on. Could be some handbooks, some guides along the way to help you troubleshoot as needed. But a lot of technical documents could flow into the form to provide me with that context as I'm inspecting this equipment out in the field. That feature is called our digital asset repository. It's been around for a few months now. We certainly would encourage any and all of you to take advantage of it if you haven't had that opportunity to yet. I also want to just show very quickly, you can do things like dynamic components, adding and shrinking according to how we respond. You can capture some photos here as well to see if we've improved or if we still have some existing issues with any of the hardware that we were inspecting for specifically this form. And then, of course, if we want to capture all of that complex data, this is the new feature that we're looking to release today, which is our table section. So you can see you can have many, many different columns here. We'll be able to enter data quickly and easily, and even do some calculations to identify if, in fact, our instrumentation ratings fall within an acceptable range. So let me just show you how we can add some data very quickly, and you'll start to see some averages. You can do mins and maxes and so on and so forth. But quickly and easily, I can even tab through and and enter that data, and it'll make those calculations very quickly. Now, a lot of times when we're seeing those technical assets out in the field, there's often a big pass-fail diagnostic test. So we can go through, take our measurements, pass, fail, anything that we need. And that, of course, could give us that type of rating to let us know exactly high level if that will pass or fail, and we can wrap that up. But just wanted to show you from an asset inspection perspective or installation, if we need to enter a lot of data points and even do some calculations on those rows to show us if it's in or outside of an acceptable range, we can enter that data very quickly and easily. The next demonstration I want to show is a health demonstration. So for our practitioners that are out in the field that might be taking care of patients, again, you'll see a lot of that data flowing directly in from Salesforce, from those person accounts. So we have that good, rich data. And as we answer questions, it'll require additional information along the way. And then, of course, a lot of dynamic components that are captured in there. We have always supported related list information. So those of you that are using Health Cloud, we can pull in prescriptions and any ailments that we've seen in the past. And then, of course, we can do some calculations in the field and then show you what good looks like or any recommendations that we might have. Now, where I get excited again is that new feature here. This is another table section. Last section that we looked at was all rows of data, but taking it to the next level, you can even start to group cells and you can put content in those cells. So it lets you know exactly what we want to focus our time and energy on, and then we can start to answer those questions if there are, in fact, any details that we want to capture. So a great way to put context in there, drop in your images, have questions and static text. That's all supported inside of our table sections as well. Now, the final example I want to give today is a home quote, for instance. Now, this is maybe the commercial business services that go door to door, and they want to offer you lawn care or bug spray of your lawns for the summer, or maybe they want to inspect parts of your home or suggest gutters, gutter guards, things of that nature. What they can do is start to walk through a process. Here we've built a 4-step process. The first is our greeting and assessment. Then our second one is the actual property survey. We'll make sure that we validate and collect any helpful information along that way. Our third page here is where we can actually provide the customer with a quote. This quote here is a good way to make some calculations very quickly. I can take a look at some of the existing core products that I use on a regular basis and then offer my customer that quote. So here we've got some content images on these rows, and I can start to add in my suggested values here. So maybe we want, 15 gutters, and we want to replace some fascia, and there is a gutter guard or downspout that we want to add as well. We certainly could do that. And you'll see that quick quote start to assemble on the right-hand side. So it's going to sum all that data up. I'll be able to hand the device over to our customer, and they can wave a finger to confirm that the quote is going to look great. And then I can run back out to my truck, grab the equipment if I have it, or we can install and we can add that installation for a technician down the road if needed. Now, beyond that, you can also do some more complex quoting. So just like Jasmin had mentioned, beyond the table formatting, we can also unlock a lot of new objects. This is a quick example of where we can use op line items, create new opportunity line items and attach them directly to an opportunity. We can also inherit records. So if you had any records already inside of Salesforce, we certainly could pull those into the form. And I'm going to add a new one here. So here, for instance, we're going to identify that we want some fascia board. And I even have a cheat sheet. So I'm holding a cheat sheet here, and I'm going to scan a quick barcode. And I grabbed the soffit barcode here. So we'll add that, and then I'll go back in. Let's add one other line item. This time we'll add that fascia. So bear with me. There we go. And we'll add 10 of those items. And you can see how you can start to add those op line items quickly and easily, add your quantity. And of course, on our final page here, this is where I can hand off my device to customer, and we can see our quick table summary, the fast quote of the core products that we use on a regular basis quoted for us, as well as all of those line items from opportunities that we added directly in the form. So a great way to add some records and fill out a lot of data to build a robust quote quickly and easily while I'm out in the field. Maybe I'm going door to door in those cases, and I can build something that's customer facing, put it in front of them and let them ask any questions. And then of course we could schedule any follow-up appointments there as needed. So then as we wrap that up, I also wanted to just preview what it looks like inside of the template builder. So I'm sure we're all too familiar. Traditionally, the sections supported single column and multi-column with just 2 columns for each of those. But now we've got the ability to create tables. And this is the table that we had just created where we have those 5 columns and five different rows here. Now you can just simply drop in a new table section. You could have 20 plus columns and 40 rows of data. You can drop in content in addition to questions, and you can start to merge those cells, just as we saw inside of that health example a moment ago. That was everything that I wanted to cover for the demo. I do want to hand it back off to Jasmin, but I also want to mention that the demonstrations that we went through today were certainly not limited to those use cases. So as you have additional use cases beyond an asset inspection or install or a health use case, there's a variety of additional use cases. We would encourage you to reach out to us and see how we can help you. We've got a lot of content available on the website to provide as well.
Thanks, Gary. I just wanted to reiterate something. Again, as far as the design of the table sections, honestly, the opportunities there are endless, but this is just the beta version of table sections. So there is more to come with the Solar One release in a few months. So get excited about that. Table sections will definitely have a few more enhancements. So on to additional new features. This first bullet point with the links section refactor. So again, we've added some new objects for the links sections, but we've also changed the design for how it looks for mobile users. So we've had a lot of feedback, specifically from our users who are on smaller devices. Links sections was really hard to work with. Whenever you would open it up, it could get cut off, and it just wasn't something that a lot of mobile users could utilize if they had a smaller device. So essentially what the refactor here is when a user goes to a link section and clicks to open it up, it'll take the full view of the screen. It essentially is like its own new modal. So this is going to help our users on those smaller devices. They'll be able to have more of a seamless experience with link sections. And then second is the hamburger menu pinning. So prior to Reactor, we were limiting this feature to only large devices. Because again, pinning the hamburger menu is valuable when you want to navigate through the Youreka app or through a form and do different actions. And users on the smaller devices never had that capability. And again, after some feedback, we decided to allow this feature to not just be limited to large devices, but now all devices will have the capability to pin the hamburger menu if needed.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for covering those last additional features, Jasmin. We will open up the floor to any questions. If anything comes top of mind, don't hesitate, drop a question in the Q&A. I will stick around for another minute. Jasmin and Mac will stick around to make sure that we answer any and all of your questions. And if we can't answer those, we certainly will follow up and get you that support article down the road. But I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Thank you for spending top half of this hour with us and learning about the new features and hopefully how it can add some new value to you and your organization. We truly appreciate it. And we'll keep the webinar open here for one more minute. But happy holidays to you and your families in the upcoming weeks and months. Thank you all.
Thank you.